6 lucky numbers to win big and get rich on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Buddhist teachings. Now, what if I told you that Tuesday, May 13th, 2025 holds a rare window of opportunity, not just for luck, but for true transformation? That's right. On this very day, 6 powerful numbers, deeply rooted in ancient Buddhist wisdom, are aligned to help those who are truly ready to receive abundance in all its forms. But let's be clear, this isn't just about getting rich overnight. It's about tuning into a deeper current, a sacred alignment of energy, intention, and action. These numbers aren't lucky by accident. They're chosen with mindfulness, guided by the same teachings that have helped people awaken for centuries. This path is not for the passive. It's for those who are awake, who believe not just in fortune, but in the power of awareness. So take a breath, feel your feet on the ground, and in the comments type, "I am aligned, I am ready, I receive with gratitude." Because in today's video from The Journey of Wisdom, we're not just giving you numbers, we're offering a spiritual compass. And if you stay with us till the end, I'll reveal a bonus number 1 that holds surprising spiritual resonance, often overlooked but incredibly potent. Let's begin this journey not with desperation, but with presence. Hit like, subscribe to The Journey of Wisdom, and let's invite true abundance together. 1. Number 18. Now, as we look ahead to Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, let's reflect on the quiet but transformative energy of the number 18, a number deeply woven into Buddhist wisdom and symbolic of personal liberation and spiritual renewal. Within the teachings of the Buddha, transformation often begins not with struggle, but with letting go. The number 18 in this context is like a gentle signal from the universe, nudging you to release the burdens you've unknowingly carried, whether emotional scars, financial fears, or the weight of past regrets, and allow yourself to step into a new phase of life with grace and clarity. Imagine feeling trapped in a cycle of effort without reward, pushing forward but seeing no change. The energy of 18 breaks that stagnation, not through force, but through flow, much like the peaceful moment after a long exhale, when the body softens and the mind becomes still. In Buddhist thought, this is the energy of non-attachment. When we cease to cling to outcomes, we create space for new possibilities. As the powerful window of May 13th draws near, this number becomes your subtle invitation to reset. Drop outdated beliefs about money or success and notice what new opportunities begin to bloom. As the Zen saying goes, let go or be dragged. And indeed, when we refuse to release the old, even blessings cannot find a place to land. But when we free up that space, internally and externally, miracles tend to move in swiftly and unexpectedly, whether through a chance encounter, a reawakened dream, or a moment of intuitive clarity that changes your path. This is why number 18 is not just symbolic of gradual progress, but often unlocks sudden strokes of luck and surprising abundance. It's like clearing a field after a long winter. Once the debris is gone, the sunlight can finally reach the soil and growth becomes inevitable. But remember, the true wealth isn't just financial, it is also emotional freedom, mental clarity, and spiritual peace. As the Buddha once said, just as a candle cannot burn without fire, men cannot live without a spiritual life. So as this auspicious date approaches, ask yourself honestly, what am I still holding on to that's keeping me small? And what am I ready to welcome in its place? Let number 18 be your reminder to walk forward, not just with hope, but with readiness. Because the universe meets us most powerfully when we show we're prepared to receive. 2. Number 37. Let's talk about the number 37. Not just as a lucky number, but as a wake-up call from the universe. A quiet yet powerful signal that your soul is ready to grow beyond the life you've been living. Sometimes everything on the outside looks just fine, your job, your relationships, your routine, but deep down there's a voice whispering, "This isn't it." That strange sense of restlessness, that inner nudge that keeps asking, "Am I really living my truth?" That's not just emotion. In Buddhist wisdom, that's a sign of spiritual ripening. The number 37 carries the energy of transformation, not comfort. It shows up when it's time to shed the skin of who you used to be and begin aligning with who you're becoming. You might be clinging to a version of life that feels safe, but also stagnant. But why keep living in a way that doesn't reflect your growth? 37 reminds you that you don't have to wait for a crisis to change. Healing has already happened, and now it's time to rise. Think about it. Are you truly walking your path, or just circling around it with a polished smile and quiet doubts? When will you stop postponing your purpose for a someday that may never come? As we approach Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, the energy surrounding this number intensifies, urging you to take that leap you've been avoiding. That discomfort you're feeling, it's not a problem. It's your higher self knocking, asking you to listen. So pause for a moment and ask yourself honestly, what have I been too afraid to start? Don't just think about it. Write it down. Let this be the first brave step toward your becoming. The number 37 won't promise you certainty, but it will give you the spark, the kind that burns away the fog of fear and reveals the doorway to something more true, more aligned, more alive. In Buddhism, change is not an enemy. It's a sacred process of becoming. Every shift brings you closer to your real nature, the part of you that is whole, aware, and deeply at peace. So if this message stirred something in your heart, that's not by accident. That's the beginning of your shift. The journey has already started. Will you keep going? 3. Number 3. Let's take a breath together and talk about something special. Because on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, the number 3 is more than just a digit on a lottery ticket or a lucky charm whispered by hope. It's a quiet but powerful reminder from the universe and from the heart of Buddhist wisdom that your life holds meaning far deeper than you may realize. Imagine for a moment that 3 is not just a number but a signal, like a temple bell echoing across a still morning, calling you back to balance. In Buddhism, we speak of the threefold training: sila, ethical conduct; samadhi, concentration; and panna, wisdom. These 3 form the true treasure of our lives. Not wealth in the bank, but peace in the heart. The number 3 also mirrors the 3 jewels we take refuge in: the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, reminding us that we're never alone, even on our most uncertain days. When we live with right thought, right speech, and right action, as the Noble Eightfold Path teaches, we're not just lucky, we are aligned with the deepest flow of life itself. So I want to ask you, what part of you have you been keeping quiet? What dream or truth within you has been waiting patiently for light? There is no fire like passion, no shark like hatred, no sneer like folly, no torrent like greed, said the Buddha. But the opposite is also true. When your actions come from clarity, compassion and courage, you begin to create moments that are magnetic, not just for abundance, but for genuine joy. This isn't just about winning something outside of you, it's about unlocking the richness already within. So, as this powerful Tuesday approaches, carry the energy of number 3 with you, not as superstition, but as a spiritual compass. Let it move your heart, wake up your creativity, and guide your choices with purpose. You don't need to chase luck when you're already living with intention. The real question is, are you ready to listen to what your life has been trying to say all along? If you've made it this far, you're already aligning with the powerful energy of May 13th, 2025. These 6 lucky numbers, rooted in Buddhist wisdom, may just be the guide you need to attract abundance. Comment below with "Lucky Path" to affirm your connection to prosperity. Don't miss what's coming next. There's still more insight and guidance waiting to help you walk the path to wealth and well-being. Stay with us until the end. 4. Number 10. Let's talk about the number 10. A number rich in symbolism, especially in the context of Buddhist wisdom. It's far more than a figure. It represents wholeness, a completion of a cycle, and the moment where inner transformation meets outer opportunity. As we approach the energy-charged day of Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, this number begins to radiate its full potential. In Buddhism, everything moves in cycles: birth and death, gain and loss, effort and rest. And the number 10 signals the sacred turning point, where what once seemed like delay begins to reveal itself as divine timing. If you've been silently working, quietly hoping, or enduring financial or emotional pressure, 10 is the number that gently tells you, now is the time. It's the breath between exhale and inhale, the moment just before the new chapter begins. Just like the lotus that blooms only after rising from the mud, your efforts too have not been in vain. The Buddha said, "However many holy words you read, however many you speak, what good will they do you if you do not act upon them?" And so, 10 is a call to action, conscious action, rooted in awareness. It may be time to follow through on that idea that has been quietly maturing within you. Whether it's a career decision, a financial move, or a change in your personal life, the energy of this number supports brave but thoughtful steps forward. It reminds us that real wealth isn't just about money. It's about being in the right place, at the right time, with the right mindset. You may feel as though you're nearing the summit after a long climb, and though the path has been steep, this is the moment to pause, breathe, and recognize your own growth. As Zen Master Dogen once said, "A flower falls even though we love it, and a weed grows even though we do not love it." Life unfolds not always according to preference, but always according to deeper truth. So, as May 13th draws near, align with the energy of completion and transition. Recognize what's ending, bless what's beginning, and step into your next chapter, not with desperation, but with calm readiness. At the Journey of Wisdom, we believe that luck isn't random. It flows where presence and purpose meet. The number 10 is your reminder that you are not waiting for luck to strike, you are walking toward it, with clarity, faith, and a grounded spirit. 5. Number 28. Let's talk about a number that quietly carries the power to transform your life if you're open to receiving its message. The number 28. Not just a date or a digit. On Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, this number brings a unique and purposeful energy. It doesn't scream for attention, but it shows up with the calm confidence of someone who's been planting seeds with faith, trusting that the right time to harvest is near. You see, the number 2 is all about harmony, balance, and the beautiful give and take that makes relationships flourish, whether in your personal life, your work, or your spiritual practice. And then we have the number 8, which is deeply connected to prosperity, abundance, and the blessings that come when your efforts align with your intentions. Together, 2 and 8 don't just make 28, they create a powerful bridge between meaningful connections and material rewards. So ask yourself today, have I been nurturing something with patience and love? Am I staying true to my values as I work toward my goals? Because if the answer is yes, this number may be your quiet signal that a wave of reward is coming. But here's the deeper insight. 28 doesn't succeed in isolation. In Buddhist teachings, we are reminded of the Sangha, the spiritual community, the people around us who support, uplift, and walk beside us. Real success, whether in wealth, peace, or purpose, grows stronger when it's shared. This is your moment to reconnect, to build partnerships, and to be generous with your energy and attention. As Pema Chodron wisely said, we are here to awaken from the illusion of our separateness. What would happen if you leaned into connection today instead of going it alone? What if the energy you share is just as important as what you receive? As we welcome the energy of May 13th, 2025, let this number remind you, your abundance is tied to community, your vision is meant to be shared, and your journey becomes lighter when walked with others. And stay with me, because up ahead, we're not done yet. There's a bonus number on the horizon, one that carries a rare and electrifying force that could unlock a whole new level of insight and fortune for your path forward. So ask yourself now, what seed am I watering today, and who am I growing with? That question might just open the door to your next big breakthrough. 6. Number 34. On Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, one number quietly rises above the rest, 34. And it's not just a number, it's a whisper from the universe meant just for you. In the language of Buddhist wisdom, every symbol that appears again and again in your life holds meaning, not because of superstition, but because of awareness. So ask yourself, have you been noticing this number? Maybe on receipts, on street signs, or even in moments you least expect. That's not random. That's presence. The number 34 carries with it the energy of transformation, like the Buddha's teaching on impermanence. All conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. This number is your wake-up call, your gentle nudge to stop overthinking, to stop hiding behind excuses, and to step forward as your most honest, most vibrant self. You see, this number doesn't just want you to win a lottery, it wants you to win at living fully. It's the kind of energy that doesn't ask for perfection, it asks for presence, courage, and trust in your own path. What have you been holding back? Is there a dream you've placed on a high shelf, waiting for the right time? 34 is reminding you that the right time is now, not later, not someday. There is beauty in showing up exactly as you are, imperfect and open-hearted. When you stop trying to control everything and just be, just create, just connect, you align with a deeper flow of life. It's like the Zen saying, let go or be dragged. And when you let go, something magical happens. Life starts to respond. People see you differently, doors open more easily, and you start to feel lighter. This week, can you find one way to express yourself more fully, even if it scares you a little? Maybe it's a bold idea, a conversation you've been avoiding, or the chance to step outside your comfort zone. What if the universe isn't testing you, but inviting you? In Buddhist practice, we learn that true richness doesn't come from clinging. It comes from flow, from connection, from joyful effort. So if you've been waiting for a sign, dear listener, this is it. The number 34 is not here to make promises, it's here to awaken potential. Don't hesitate. Let go, leap forward, and discover not just luck, but liberation. What would it look like if you trusted that you are already enough, already ready? Thank you for being here with us in today's video about the 6 lucky numbers to win big and get rich on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. Rooted in the wisdom of Buddhist teachings, it's truly a joy to have you as part of our growing community. If you feel inspired or simply curious, please share your thoughts in the comments. If you're new here, just write, "I am a seeker." And if you've been walking this path with us for a while, type, "I trust the journey." Your presence and engagement bring life to this channel and encourage us to keep sharing wisdom that uplifts. Now let's continue this journey of insight and possibility together. How to train your mind for wealth using Buddhist wisdom. What if true wealth doesn't begin in your bank account, but in your mind? In today's world, we often chase money through stress, competition, and endless hustle. But according to ancient Buddhist teachings, prosperity isn't just about what you have. It's about how you think, how you live, and how aligned you are with your inner values. Buddhism offers a radically different path, one that doesn't shame money, but teaches us how to approach it with wisdom, intention, and peace. By training your mind using these timeless principles, you don't just attract wealth, you create a life that feels rich on every level. Let's explore how you can transform your mindset and invite abundance through the calm, conscious lens of Buddhist wisdom. Number 1. Begin with the right intention, Sammā Sankappa. The foundation of cultivating a wealthy life through Buddhist wisdom begins with the right intention, or Sammā Sankappa, one of the essential steps on the Noble Eightfold Path. In the modern world, where the pursuit of wealth often feels like a race with no finish line, it's easy to get caught in a cycle of endless desire and comparison. Yet, Buddhism does not teach us to reject wealth. It teaches us to understand our relationship with it. The Buddha said, "It is not riches that are evil, but the craving for riches." This reminds us that the problem is not having money, but letting our identity and peace depend on it. Right intention means starting with a heart that is honest and clear. If your motivation for wealth comes from fear, pride, or competition, then even if you succeed, that success will come with restlessness. But if your motivation is rooted in care for your family, your community, your own well-being, and the wish to help others, then wealth becomes a tool for good, not a chain around your mind. To begin, take a quiet moment and ask yourself sincerely, why do I want to be wealthy? Don't rush to the answer, sit with it. If your answer is, to prove my worth, notice the suffering hidden in that. If it's, to create stability for my loved ones, feel the warmth and intention behind it. What matters most is not the surface reason, but the deeper emotional truth underneath. As the Dhammapada teaches, all that we are is the result of what we have thought. The mind is everything. When your thoughts are aligned with kindness, purpose, and clarity, your actions and the wealth you create will reflect that same energy. In today's culture of hustle and performance, it's easy to think more is always better. But Buddhism invites us to redefine better to mean wiser, more compassionate, more in balance. Setting the right intention doesn't mean you reject ambition. It means you give ambition a direction that aligns with your values. Think of a ship setting sail. If it starts even slightly off course, it ends up far from its destination. Your intention is your compass. Align it now, and your journey toward wealth will lead not only to external success, but to inner peace. This is especially important for those between the ages of 30 to 65, who are often in their prime years of responsibility and influence. It's a time when many are providing for family, thinking about retirement, or seeking deeper purpose in their work. Wealth, then, is not just about accumulating money. It's about creating a life that feels meaningful and secure, inside and out. As His Holiness the Dalai Lama once said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This doesn't mean you must live in lack, but rather that your mind is not enslaved by wanting more and more. So let your wealth-building journey begin with a vow to earn and use money in ways that bring light, not shadows, to serve your needs without falling into greed, and to let your inner peace grow alongside your bank account, not shrink in its shadow. Every step you take toward financial abundance can also be a step toward compassion, generosity, and liberation, if you walk with the right intention at heart. Number 2, practice mindful awareness of money, Sati. One of the most powerful teachings from the Buddha that we can apply to wealth is the practice of Sati, or mindful awareness. When it comes to money, whether you're earning it, spending it, saving, or investing, the invitation is to become fully present with each action. Rather than rushing into financial decisions driven by fear, anxiety, or craving, take a breath and ask yourself, what is really motivating this choice? So often we spend impulsively to soothe discomfort or invest with the hope of quick gain without truly understanding the risks. But when you train your mind to pause, observe, and engage with your financial life consciously, you begin to break free from harmful cycles and habits that keep you stuck. This doesn't mean judging yourself for past mistakes or feeling guilty about wanting more. It means looking clearly, with gentle awareness, at how your mind reacts to money. That clarity is where wisdom begins to grow. Think of this as mental training, not unlike how we strengthen a muscle. Every time you become aware of a money thought or action, you're giving yourself an opportunity to practice mindfulness. Even a simple act like checking your bank account can become a moment of practice. Can you look at the numbers without stress or attachment? Can you breathe and feel gratitude instead of fear? The Buddha taught that freedom doesn't come from what we possess, but from how we relate to what we have. So how do you relate to your finances? Are you reacting or responding? Are you operating from panic or from peace? These questions open the door to understanding the emotional patterns tied to money and allow us to meet them with kindness and skill. By being mindful of your financial life, you're not just improving your bank balance, You're transforming your relationship with wealth itself. Money becomes a tool, not a trap. It supports your values rather than overriding them, and as your awareness deepens, you'll find that wise financial decisions naturally follow. They aren't forced or fear-driven. They arise from a calm, balanced mind. This practice of awareness doesn't promise instant riches, but it does promise inner stability and outer clarity, which are far more valuable in the long run. So let me ask you, what would it look like for you to bring mindfulness to your next financial decision? Let that question stay with you throughout the day. Here are a few lessons to carry forward. First, wealth is not just what you have in your wallet, but the peace you have in your heart. Second, being mindful with money means respecting it, not worshipping it or fearing it. And third, the more aware you are of your financial patterns, the more freedom you create to shape your life intentionally. As the Buddha taught, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, the wise are not moved by praise or blame, and this includes the ups and downs of wealth. Let mindful awareness be your foundation. Number 3. Cultivate generosity. Dāna. Let me ask you something from the heart. Have you ever noticed how good it feels to give, really give, with no expectation of anything in return? In the teachings of the Buddha, this is not just a pleasant feeling, but a powerful path to transforming your relationship with wealth. You see, generosity, what we call Dāna in Buddhism, is not about how much you have, but how open your heart is. It might sound like a paradox, but one of the most effective ways to create true abundance in your life is by giving. Not giving out of pressure or guilt, but giving out of joy, out of connection, out of love. Whether it's sharing food with someone who's hungry, offering a sincere compliment, or giving your time to listen deeply to someone who's struggling, every act of generosity loosens the grip of attachment, and in that loosened space, something beautiful begins to flow. Wealth in Buddhism isn't measured by what's stored in your bank account, but by the richness of your inner world, your compassion, your kindness, your capacity to care. The Buddha once said, "If beings knew, as I know, the results of giving and sharing, they would not eat without having given." That quote moves me deeply every time I reflect on it. It tells us that giving is not just a virtue, it's a gateway to peace of mind, to joy, and yes, even to material blessings, because the more freely we let go, the more freely life seems to give back. Now, does that mean you should give everything away? Of course not. Wise generosity isn't reckless, it's conscious. It's about tuning into what someone else needs and what you genuinely have to offer without harming yourself in the process. So take a moment. How do you give? And maybe even deeper, what's your intention when you give? In my own journey, I've found that the smallest acts, when done with a sincere heart, ripple out in unexpected ways. There were times I felt lost, even afraid about money or stability, and instead of clinging tightly, I chose to give a little. Sometimes it was time, other times a word of encouragement, and again, life surprised me. Not always in material ways, but in the kind of inner peace that no paycheck can buy. In Buddhism, the act of giving doesn't deplete you. It expands you. It reminds you that you are not isolated. You're part of a living, breathing world, full of connection. So here's something to reflect on. What if your next step toward wealth wasn't to hold tighter, but to open more? What if the path to abundance began with a generous heart? Take that question with you, let it sit gently in your awareness, and see what changes within you over time. You're not just watching, you're evolving. If this message speaks to you, drop a peaceful prosperity in the comments to show you're ready to build wealth with wisdom and compassion. Keep watching, There's more timeless guidance ahead to help you create a life of both meaning and abundance. Number 4. Let go of scarcity thinking. Taṇhā and Moha. One of the most powerful shifts we can make in our journey toward wealth, true wealth, not just in the bank account but in the mind and heart, is learning to let go of scarcity thinking. This mindset, often described as poverty consciousness, is rooted in two fundamental defilements the Buddha spoke about: Taṇhā, or craving, and Moha, delusion. Scarcity thinking tells us there's never enough. Never enough money, never enough time, never enough opportunity. It quietly runs in the background of our lives, whispering that we must compete, hoard, or rush to secure our place. But from the Buddhist perspective, this is a delusion that traps the mind in endless dissatisfaction. Craving feeds the illusion that something outside us will finally make us feel safe or full, while delusion blinds us to the reality that much of what we fear is imagined. These are not just spiritual ideas. They directly affect how we behave, the decisions we make, and our ability to see opportunities clearly. In our modern world, where we are constantly bombarded by advertising, social comparison, and financial pressure, it's easy to fall into this trap. A glance at social media or a conversation with someone more successful can stir up feelings of lack before we even realize it. But training the mind in Buddhist wisdom means learning to recognize these thoughts not as truths, but as passing clouds. They arise due to habit and conditioning, but we don't have to cling to them. Every time we notice a thought like, "I'll never have enough," or "I'm falling behind," we have a chance to pause, breathe, and ask ourselves, is this really true? Or is this Taṇhā speaking? Is this my wise mind? Or is it the deluded part that believes happiness only comes from more? To move out of this mindset, we must actively cultivate its opposite, not just intellectually, but through daily practice. Gratitude is a powerful antidote. When we train ourselves to focus on what we already have, our health, our relationships, our talents, we begin to see the richness of our lives. Gratitude softens the grip of craving, and from that space, our decisions around money become wiser and more grounded. Likewise, practicing sufficiency, this idea that what we have is enough in this moment, can free us from the mental burden of always chasing more. This doesn't mean giving up ambition or ignoring our goals. It means approaching them from a place of peace rather than desperation. Wealth built on craving will never satisfy, but wealth built on clarity and inner abundance creates a life that feels whole. So as we go about our financial lives, earning, saving, investing, it's essential to remember that the outer world is always a reflection of the inner world. A peaceful mind is not only more creative and resilient, it sees possibilities that a fearful mind cannot. In this way, Buddhist wisdom teaches us not to abandon wealth, but to transform the way we relate to it. When we release scarcity thinking, we open the door to a more joyful, sustainable kind of prosperity, one that uplifts not just ourselves, but those around us. Each moment we choose gratitude over grasping, clarity over fear, we're not just training the mind for wealth, we're training it for freedom. Number 5. Embrace ethical livelihood, Sammā, Ājīva. Let's talk about something that's often overlooked in the pursuit of wealth: how you earn it. In the Buddha's teaching, one of the most vital parts of the Eightfold Path is Sammā Ājīva, or right livelihood. It asks us to consider not just the outcome of our work, money or status, but whether the way we earn a living supports a life of compassion, truthfulness, and harmony with others. This teaching reminds us that wealth gained by hurting others, exploiting life, or breaking ethical principles will never bring peace of mind. You might have a full bank account, but if the path you walked to get there is paved with harm, it will leave your heart feeling empty. So ask yourself, is the work you do building you up or breaking you down? Is it adding to the well-being of others or taking away from it? Choosing a livelihood rooted in ethics doesn't mean you have to be a monk or give up all modern ambitions. It simply means aligning your work with values that uplift rather than degrade. Whether you're a teacher, a business owner, an artist, or in any profession, when your intention is to serve, to heal, or to create value without causing harm, you're practicing right livelihood. And this has a profound impact, not just spiritually, but practically. When people trust you, when your work speaks of honesty and goodness, opportunities open, relationships grow, and your inner world becomes more stable. It's not magic, it's cause and effect, a law the Buddha spoke of often. He said, "Just as a tree leans in the direction it grows, so too does a person become what they practice." What are you practicing every day through your work? Now pause and reflect. Is your job something that nourishes your mind and spirit, or is it draining your energy and dimming your sense of purpose? Do you feel proud of the way you contribute to the world? Or do you sometimes carry silent guilt or restlessness after a long day? These are not questions to judge yourself with. They are invitations to grow. Sometimes the shift isn't in changing your entire career overnight, but in changing how you approach your work with mindfulness, kindness, and a sincere wish to do good. Right livelihood is not only about what job you have, but about how you show up in it. Even in a tough job, you can bring light. So, here's something to take with you today. Wealth that comes from a place of ethical living carries no shame, no fear, and no regret. It is clean, joyful, and deeply rooted in the heart. That kind of wealth, grounded in truth, not only supports you but uplifts everyone it touches. Could it be that the peace you're seeking isn't just in having more, but in earning it with honor? In the long run, it's not only what we gain that matters, but how we gain it. Key lesson: true wealth isn't measured just by the numbers in your account, but by the peace in your heart. When you align your work with compassion and integrity, you're not only building financial stability, you're building a meaningful life. Number 6. Meditate on impermanence and trust flow. To truly train your mind for wealth through Buddhist wisdom, one must deeply meditate on the truth of impermanence and develop trust in the natural flow of life. In the teachings of the Buddha, impermanence, ātunik, is not just a concept but a living truth that touches every aspect of our existence, including our relationship with money. Wealth, like the seasons, will rise and fall. No matter how carefully we manage our finances or how skillfully we plan, economic conditions change, careers evolve, opportunities open and close, and what we have today may not be with us tomorrow. By sitting with this truth in meditation daily, we learn not to cling tightly when things are abundant or panic when times are lean. This doesn't mean we stop caring or planning. It means we hold our efforts with wisdom, not fear. As the great Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh said, "Thanks to impermanence, everything is possible." When we accept that money flows in cycles, we begin to release the anxiety that so often binds our decisions and drives us into restlessness or greed. Instead, we learn to act with calm clarity, planting seeds of effort without being desperate for instant results. In our modern world, where success is often measured in financial terms and stability is seen as a kind of security blanket, this teaching might feel radical at first, yet it's exactly what creates true resilience. Detachment doesn't mean disinterest. It means freedom from being emotionally controlled by gain or loss. It allows you to work hard and make wise decisions while keeping your peace intact, no matter the outcome. The practice of meditating on impermanence also helps dismantle the ego's attachment to wealth as a symbol of self-worth. You begin to recognize that your value is not determined by your bank account, but by your presence, your intentions, and the goodness you bring into the lives of others. As the Dhammapada teaches, all conditioned things are impermanent. When one sees this with wisdom, one turns away from suffering. In letting go of the illusion of control, we find a deeper control, the control over how we respond to the world rather than trying to control the world itself. Trusting the flow of life doesn't mean being passive or careless. It means aligning yourself with the deeper rhythms of reality. Rivers flow not in straight lines, but through curves and bends, and so does our financial journey. If we resist this natural movement, we create tension and suffering. But if we learn to flow with awareness, our choices become more skillful, grounded not in fear but in faith. This kind of trust is built gradually, like a muscle, through consistent practice, taking time each day to reflect on impermanence, not with dread, but with acceptance. In this way, when a sudden expense arises, a job is lost or an investment fails, we don't crumble, we pause, breathe, and adapt. Similarly, when abundance comes, we enjoy it without being consumed by it, using it wisely, generously, and with gratitude. Modern life offers us many tools to manage money: spreadsheets, apps, financial advisors, but without inner stability, even the best tools can leave us feeling empty or overwhelmed. Meditation on impermanence is a tool for the inner world. It's a way to clear the fog of fear and make space for insight. When we cultivate this clarity, we naturally make better choices, not out of desperation, but from a place of quiet confidence. The great Zen master Suzuki Roshi once said, "In the beginner's mind, there are many possibilities, but in the expert's mind, there are few." With a calm mind that understands the changing nature of things, we approach wealth with a beginner's openness rather than the rigidity of fear or entitlement. In closing, let us remember that peace is the foundation of prosperity. Meditating on impermanence isn't about giving up on wealth. It's about gaining the wisdom to relate to it in a way that brings true freedom. Hold your ambitions lightly, trust the seasons of life, and above all, root your efforts in mindfulness and compassion. This is the path not only to wealth, but to well-being. And there you have it, 6 powerful numbers aligned with ancient Buddhist wisdom, each carrying a unique energy to help you step into greater clarity, courage, and perhaps even abundance, on Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. But remember, true wealth is not just in what we gain, but in how we grow. Whether these numbers bring fortune or simply insight, may they guide you with mindfulness and grace on your journey forward. If this message resonated with you, Please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs this energy, and subscribe to the Journey of Wisdom. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss our upcoming teachings and insights. Until next time, walk gently, live mindfully, and keep trusting the flow of your life.